So I'll ask you 3 questions straight away.
Wow, that makes you think a lot. It is actually not right to kill a human being in any sense of form.
No, that's a fair point. I totally take that.
You can't control life.
You were a bit confused, but now, and that's very well put. You talked certain very key important.
Okay, so in that sense, okay, I lost my thought.
So I'll ask you 3 questions straight away, and you can take your time to just think about them. So the first question is, do you think it's wrong to kill a human being? Second question, do you think it's wrong to kill a dog? And third question, do you think it's wrong to kill a hen? And the underlying assumption in all of these questions is that the victim has done absolutely nothing wrong to us.
Well, that's that makes you think a lot.
Yeah, that's the idea.
I think the whole concept about killing a hen or a dog comes about where do you draw the line,
Yeah.
right?
Very well said.
Because somewhere the answer can be, what's the word for it? The cycle. What's the cycle?
Life cycle,
Food cycle, right? So it's that thing. It comes across as where do you draw the line on the life cycle, on the food cycle? Like, what is it that you consider a pet? Like, if you kill your pet, that's wrong. I don't know. It's my personal opinion.
Why?
And
I know.
Emotional connection, right?
Okay.
There's
But if you kill a stray dog with whom you don't have an emotional connection, is that acceptable? Yeah, why is that wrong? That's what we are trying to get at today. I know that this is the feeling in most people I talk to, but we are trying to address the root of that feeling. Why do you think it's wrong to kill a stray dog with whom you have no emotional connect?
I guess it's a sense of responsibility.
Towards?
People consider dogs very domesticated, right? It's the perception that has been made. Like, as humans, we have been, how do I say this? We've been taught that chicken is something that we like to eat, right? We enjoy eating it. So the perception towards chicken is that it is something that can be eaten. Whereas dogs, as humanity as a whole, right? We've been taught that, or we've been showed through across different platforms that there's something that we're supposed to love. That it's human's best friend, right? So the whole concept flows around what we've been taught as a kid, right?
That's a fair point. I totally take that. What if there is a certain individual human being who rejects this teaching and says that, hey, I think it's very irrational that you're asking me to, you're telling me that it's okay to kill a hen but not a dog, so I want to kill the dog as well. Someone can reject that concept because, like you said, it's a perception, right?
Yeah.
There has to be some consistent moral argument behind it. If not, people can form different perceptions also, right?
That's true. I mean, equally, you can think along the lines of if you are arguing for you want to kill a dog, why not just choose non-violence in its whole, right? Coming back to your question of if it's right to kill a human being, it is actually not right to kill a human being in any sense of form because it's a life that you can't give, so you can't take.
But the same is true for dogs and hens.
That's what I'm saying, right? So if you want to go around the argument that considering that, you can't kill hens because, you were saying that, killing dogs is also equally all right because people consider chicken as something that should be consumed, right? If you're going to the argument that killing dogs should be all right as well, if my opinion comes there, killing a chicken, killing a dog, killing a human, nothing is all right because you don't control life. Great. You can't control life. That's the whole point.
That's well spoken, and you see your opinion has also has formed now. When I first asked you, you were a bit confused, but now, now your opinion has formed that now you see that there is some inconsistency where we draw the lines.
Of course.
And now you are saying that because we don't have the right to kill these animals, so we should not kill either of them.
Yeah, that's true.
And you had a slight doubt in the beginning with regard to the life cycle thing. That also I would like to clarify because it's a misconception again that we have formed. Because life cycle in general means that one species is dependent on other species for their survival. For example, if a tiger doesn't eat a deer, the tiger's existence will come into question. they will perish. In terms of humans, that's not the case. We are not dependent on hens for.
That is true.
Yeah, so it's
That is true.
and another point where it completely annihilates the life cycle argument is that we are breeding these animals for our consumption. Life cycle means that something is happening in the nature, we don't have options, we're killing them. So that is not even the slightest of the concern. Yeah.
I agree with your point, right? But see, I can contend to that again. Realistically speaking, humans have been conditioned that way, right?
Yes.
So working towards it is a great start.
Yes.
I'm not kidding.
Yes.
But it's going to take a long time.
Yes.
It's going to take a very long time. It's going to take a long time because humans, when they're conditioned to do something, it takes them a long time to understand, right? When you force someone into accepting your views, it's going to be very difficult. Some people will understand, the others won't. That's the whole battle with so many issues that are going on.
Very well put. Very well.
From like feminism.
I was just about to go there, right? And that's very well put. You talked certain very key important aspects of how the human society works. One is conditioning, right? And it takes a hell lot of effort to decondition oneself, especially if you are in a position of privilege. Where comes the concept of patriarchy and feminism? A lot of people, especially men, have a hard time accepting feminism and giving up their patriarchal privileges because they are in that position of privilege, right? But fundamentally, you would agree that all of us, especially the men, we should shut up and listen to women and understand the nuances of patriarchy and how it puts a woman down in this whole societal system, right? We should do that, right?
In my opinion, patriarchy doesn't just affect women, it affects men
also, exactly.
more, in fact.
Yeah, exactly. But we need to accept that, come out of and try to acknowledge that and learn from it and try to make it a better place for you and for the men as well, right? Don't you think we should do the same when it comes to how we treat animals as well?
I completely agree with you on that. I mean, that's true that there's a point of privilege, there's a point of responsibility, and it should be understood in that sense. And that's true, that's completely true. But equally, as I said, it's going to take a long time to get there.
Of course, it will take a long time, and that's why it starts with one person at a time. What will it take for you as an individual to give up your privilege of in this equation with animals and treat them with the bare amount of respect, which essentially equates to us not exploiting them in any manner?
For me?
For an individual, for you.
As an individual, for me, I think, I don't know, the best would be to stop consuming animal products as a start.
That's a great start, actually.
And
that's the bare minimum.
That's the bare minimum you can do. The next would be to actually accept. I mean, we can, on a day-to-day basis, if we're not even talking about poultry, right? If we're talking about normal cows, stray dogs that are walking around, it's absolutely difficult to. I mean, I don't see that often in Bangalore, but where I'm from, you can see cows like walking around.
Where are you from?
I'm from Rajasthan. So once you domesticate something, right, you get a sense of responsibility over there. So either you make sure that you're fulfilling that responsibility or you let go of that position completely.
I think it's not just letting go of the position, but to give away this mindset that they are asked to possess. They are not asked to possess, be it human beings, be it animals. They are not resources for our consumption in any which way possible, right? And that's why your first thing that we should stop consuming animal products. That is actually the crux of the issue. The moment we start doing that, the reason why we have domesticated them and the reason why we are treating them as a resource so that we can consume them, and hence a whole business is built around it. And if we as consumers reject that, then it will come to an end.
It will definitely work. We will move to a new path in life. I mean, we as humans are told to be so innovative, right? But we are spending our mindset building bombs, creating wars, whereas we can come together and work towards creating an environment which is filled with compassion and empathy. It's true.
So you think you'll be able to give up animal products?
I mean, I try my best to not use animal products as often. There are a lot of things that are still difficult too, because alternative options are either expensive or not easily readily available in a lot of places.
Okay.
So yeah, that's there. I mean, in all seriousness, my city barely has like one vegan spot.
One weekend?
Barely has one vegan spot.
Okay. So that's an interesting term, vegan. What do you know about this term, vegan?
Okay, so we got it.
Yeah.
Veganism is something that says you refrain from consuming any sort of animal product.
Okay, good. Something related to what we are talking about, right? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, you in your heart sounds like a vegan, but you rightly said there's barely any vegan spot in the place that you stay, right? But do we need to specifically go to a vegan spot to consume fancy stuff? Like if you really think about it, because now I'm getting into this side of the discussion is because you agree that why we should not consume animal products. Now we are discussing how we can move away from it, right? And the how part of it is, one is that you rightly said is we have this perception that vegan products are costlier, barely available, almond milk on all of this, right? But I'm just slightly trying to change your perspective that do we need all of that? From a nutritional perspective, let's talk about milk. We don't need almond milk to replace milk. We need calcium and a little bit of protein that comes from it, and that we can get from our traditional Indian plant-based diet as well. Almond milk is a luxury, and some people are, enslaved to the taste of coffee and milk with coffee and tea with milk. So they can replace, and if they find it costly, they can make at home.
There are a lot of products that do require milk as a basic necessity for you to, cook if you're cooking. There are a lot of products that require milk if you're talking about milk.
But we can veganize all of that in traditional Indian sense as well.
We can work towards it. Of course, that's true. But okay, so in that sense, I lost my thought. See, here the thing is, you are talking about eradicating a thing that exists since time, right?
Yes.
Milk has. If we're going to the alternative options of milk, right? I like to consume milk.
Right.
Almond milk is expensive.
Of course, it is expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a sense. I mean, if we're going on that path, right? I would want milk on my daily diet.
Yeah. From taste perspective or from nutrition perspective?
From taste perspective, I can make that choice. I can want something.
Yeah.
We as humans can want something because if we're going down the paths, right, it's an equal question, right? If we're going down the path, you don't feed your cat or your dog, if we're talking about domesticated concepts, right? You don't feed your cat or dog something that you think is right for them, but you also go down the path of something that they would like. You find a middle ground. There can always exist a middle ground.
Yeah, but in this middle ground, for example, where you and I are consuming milk, let's say, in the process, what's happening is that the dairy animal is subjected to continuous cycles of pregnancy. That is one thing. Like right at the time when they hit puberty, all the way up to the time where their body is incapable of bearing any more child, that is like continuous cycles of pregnancy. And if you think about it, any mother produces milk only after pregnancy for their offspring. So that milk is technically for the baby, and that baby is not given more often than not given the full quota of milk. And from economics perspective, let's say you and I are the dairy farmers, right? What are we going to do with the male calves? Yeah. And what are we going to do with the mothers who are incapable of giving milk? And also the process of pregnancy nowadays, it's very invasive. If something of similar sort is to happen to a human being, we are going to say it's a sexual exploitation. That's what's happening to them, right? And so if we are consuming milk, don't you think like we are responsible for that?
Okay, so I go back to my initial point. If you are doing something like that, there is a sense of responsibility. If you are domesticating an animal, there is a sense of responsibility that comes with it. What's, again, the question, where do you draw the line? Where's the point where it comes to you are doing it for the sake of taking the nutrition, sharing something, or you're doing it for the sake of exploitation?
But they are like going hand in hand.
That's what I'm saying, right? It is the sense of responsibility that needs to exist. If I own a cow, right? I have to make sure that if I am using the milk that she's producing, it has to be done in a sense where I am not exploiting the cow in any
But
sense.
you'll have to, like, how will you not exploit the cow? You'll have to ensure that the cow is subjected to continuous cycles of pregnancy. Otherwise, it will become a loss-making endeavor for you. What are you going to do with the male calves and the retired mothers? Because they are of no use in the dairy industry, right?
Agreed.
So what I'm trying to
That's
get,
something to be thought about.
yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is that there is no right way to do the wrong thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
And since you said that you are fond of consuming milk, and I totally get that. In fact, I come from a hardcore non-vegetarian Bengali family, where eating flesh, animal flesh, is like life and death situation for people, right? Like, people are so fond of consuming animal flesh. So I am completely aware of the fact that what taste enslavement is. Like, people have so much tendency, like, people love their taste, right? But then again, the question comes back to what you said earlier, right? For the sake of taste, which is a desire, are we that selfish enough and oppressive mindset that we are going to exploit an individual?
considered.
Right? Yeah. So all I want you to do is just think on this direction. Now I'll introduce. I think we have discussed enough for you to think
There's
on this.
enough to think about, ponder on.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll introduce myself. So I'm an animal rights activist. This T-shirt reads "Why vegan?" and the answer is very simple. Animals are not commodities, right? So I come from a hardcore non-vegetarian family. I became a vegetarian first, and then I learned about the dairy industry. First, I was in disbelief that, okay, this is not happening in India. But then I visited dairy farms, and then I learned the reality. I became a vegan, and vegan is only from, like, consumption perspective. Then I learned about the philosophy of animal rights and ethics. Now I go to, like I said, I go to colleges and do lectures on this topic. I recently visited IIM Ahmedabad to discuss on this topic, and I also talk to people like yourself. My core audience is people who are compassionate and rational at the same time. And my ultimate message to everyone is to think from the victim's perspective. Yeah, just think from the victim's perspective. And since you mentioned about this one place in your state, in your city, which is vegan, so just an information there that the vegan movement in India is growing, right? It is not what the mainstream media is telling us, that it's about the fancy almond milk. We know people from villages who are becoming vegan. We also have a chapter in Rajasthan called the Rajasthan Vegan Movement. Okay, you can find it on Instagram.
Alright.
Yeah, and if you feel like, there's a page on Instagram called Vegan India Movement. You can reach out to them and ask for a vegan support group in your vicinity. In Bangalore, we have a very big vegan community, just so you know, right? And yeah, so that's the objective for today's discussion. You have been a great sport and really open-minded. And I sincerely and genuinely hope that you reflect on this message that animals are not commodities, right? Hope this was a decent conversation.
It was a great conversation.
Yeah.
It was a great conversation. I got to learn a lot. I had a nice time having a conversation on there.